Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one. The introduction. In the quaint, tree-lined town of Maplewood, a thick veil of tranquility often masked the darkness that lingered just beneath the surface. The air was usually filled with the hum of cicadas and the rustling of leaves. Yet on that fateful autumn day in October 2013, an unsettling silence descended over the town. The crackle of fallen leaves underfoot accompanied Sheriff Elaine Thompson as she made her way towards the scene that would change Maplewood forever. The sun hung hazily overhead, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch, clawing at the fabric of the normalcy that enveloped this community. Just beyond the edge of Maplewood Park, where children usually laughed and played, lay a secluded Grovian area, often overlooked by the townsfolk. However, on this particular morning, the scene bore witness to the unspeakable. A jogger, simply seeking an escape into nature, stumbled upon a small clearing. What he initially thought was an out-of-place piece of junk revealed itself as a dark, unsettling omen. The local authorities had been called, and as Sheriff Thompson arrived, the grotesque reality of the situation began to unfurl. As crime scene investigators cordoned off the area, an uneasy energy pulsed around them. The scent of damp earth mixed with fading autumn leaves filled the air. Thompson's heart raced as she instinctively reached for her notebook, her senses heightened. This was not the first time she'd faced death in her career, but each one carried its own weight. And this instance felt peculiar, a puzzle meticulously waiting to be solved. The victim. As the sun retreated behind a bank of ominous clouds, Sheriff Thompson diligently examined the setting, her mind racing with questions about the identity of the victim. The victim lay amidst a cluster of fallen birch trees, partially obscured by shrubbery, suggesting a desperate attempt at concealment. She pushed back the tendrils of underbrush, the smell of damp foliage filling her senses, and focused her gaze on the lifeless form that lay before her. An identification card found in the victim's wallet highlighted the name Lisa Harrington, a name that momentarily wrestled with the rumor mill of the small town. Just 27. Lisa was known around Maplewood as a bright and ambitious elementary school teacher. Her warm smile and spirited demeanor had earned her the affection of many in the community. And though she might have been merely a shadow in the lives of some, her absence would vibrate through the hearts of those who knew her. Thompson studied the carefully arranged surroundings there. Was no obvious sign of a struggle, just an eerie stillness that felt far too deliberate. The lack of trauma on the body suggested far more than a chance encounter, perhaps hinting at intentionality behind Lisa's untimely end. The wind picked up, rustling the trees and bringing with it an ominous chill. A cluster of nearby onlookers, held back by police barriers, whispered amongst themselves, their faces marked with stricken disbelief. They were yet to learn that their beloved teacher was not just a victim. He was now an enigma, a puzzle to piece together in a community that, until now, had known only safety. The crime scene. As the forensic team began to meticulously document the scene, the chill in the air seemed to deepen, wrapping around Sheriff Thompson like a shroud. Illuminated by the harsh beams of their flashlights, they cataloged every detail, from the positioning of the body to the subtle imprints in the damp earth nearby. Each step they took on the mossy ground echoed an eerie reminder that somewhere, an alcove of peace had been shattered by violence. Crouching down, Thompson noticed shallow indentations, surrounding Lisa's body, a series of faint yet distinct marks in the soil, possibly made by footwear. Each tread told an unspoken story, however. Without a clear suspect, their meaning remained trapped in silence. He recorded the positions, mentally piecing together a timeline from the moment Lisa had crossed the threshold of life to the point she had stepped into death. Nearby, leading away from the macabre scene, a few broken branches hinted at a scuffle. Disturbed leaves bore witness to frantic movement, a visceral reminder of the struggle that likely happened moments before the life was extinguished. Thompson scrutinized the area, searching for evidence that might connect the dots, small fragments of clothing or personal effects that could bring clarity to the chaos. As twilight seeped into the grove, she felt the weight of the townsfolk's unyielding gaze. This was not just a case. It was a tragedy that touched every corner of Maplewood. With the realization that this was the beginning of an arduous investigation, Thompson steeled herself for what lay ahead. The crime scene would yield its secrets, but only through painstaking examination would she unravel the truth buried within the shadows. The early investigation. As the shadows stretched long with the setting sun, Sheriff Thompson returned to her office, where mounds of paperwork awaited her alongside a growing collection of insights regarding Lisa Harrington. The small, quiet office smelled faintly of stale coffee and ink, an everyday scent that now felt heavy with the burden of an unresolved tragedy. Hefting a file onto her desk, she reviewed where Lisa's life intersected with the lives of other colleagues, friends, and students. Through interviews, Thompson sought emotional landscapes, hunting for clues that might lead her closer to the enigma of Lisa's fate. One colleague spoke of a recent change in Lisa's demeanor, a slight withdrawal that hadn't gone unnoticed. Stressors at work? Or was something darker brewing beneath the surface? Her investigation quickly uncovered Lisa's closest friend, Rebecca. The two had shared a bond of childhood roots, a connection that spanned nearly 3 decades. When Thompson reached her, Rebecca's composure crumbled as grief took forefront, leaving breathless gaps in her speech. She was scared, she confessed, eyes glistening. She said someone was watching her. She said someone was watching her. The revelation hung heavily in the air, feeding a narrative of uncertainty. Thompson pressed for details, but Rebecca could only shrug, lost in the chaos of emotion. As if sensing the severity of the situation, she whispered, "Maybe it's connected to the messages she received." Thompson jotted down notes with urgency. These were leads, whispers of a more profound threat lurking in the shadow. Just as Rebecca's phone buzzed with a message, a part of the puzzle began to shift, urging Thompson deeper into the thickening fog that surrounded this case. The dead ends. Days turned into weeks, and the initial fervor of the investigation gave way to an unsettling monotony as thick fog rolled over Maplewood, both literally and psychologically. Sheriff Thompson found herself trapped in a spiral of dead-ends interviews that promised information leading nowhere and leads that fizzled out like the thin light of a dying candle. The case, which had seemed so full of potential, now felt like grasping at smoke. Amid the pile of notes and the endless barrage of unanswered questions, Thompson remained haunted by Rebecca's cryptic mention of the messages Lisa had received. Armed with this scrap of information, she retraced her steps, poring over Lisa's electronic records with a fine-toothed comb. Credit card statements revealed purchases at local coffee shops, and social media activity highlighted interactions that now looked particularly significant under a forensic lens. Yet, as she combed through posts filled with idyllic images of friendships and laughter, the vibrant aura of Lisa's life starkly contrasted with her tragic end. Unease hung thick in the air and painted whispers across town. Rumors began to swirl. Whispers of a ghost that once breathed amongst them, now reduced to chilliness. Frustrated, Thompson found herself at a crossroads in the investigation. With each passing day, the walls seemed to close in tighter, and suspects remained elusive. Prying deeper into school records, she uncovered minor disciplinary issues with some students, none leading to anything more than petty squabble. Just as Thompson began to wonder if she might lose Lisa's truth forever, an unexpected knock on her office door shattered her growing despair of face. Tired and desperate, hovered in the threshold. This was an ally from the past, someone who might still hold a key to unlocking doors that had been locked shut. A break in the case. The figure stepping into Sheriff Thompson's office was a familiar one, but time had weathered them both. Detective Mark Jenkins, a former partner, had taken a leave from the police force after a grueling case had left its scar. He came bearing a sense of urgency that had been missing in Maplewood for far too long. "Elaine," he began, the hint of desperation evident in his voice. "I've been following a lead outside town that might connect to Lisa's death." He handed her an envelope marked with a small town named Sunnyvale. Inside were a series of letters that had caught his attention, bearing eerie similarities to Rebecca's description of Lisa's messages. The contents hinted at an aggressive stalker from a nearby community Somion who had a known history of infatuation and harassment. "These messages escalate quickly," Mark continued, "and the last few were sent to a woman who reported them but was too afraid to go public. It reeks of something sinister." Thompson's heart raced. Was it possible that Lisa had crossed paths with this elusive figure? Could the shadows of another town be looming over the peaceful Maplewood? With each letter she read, an unsettling pattern began to emerge, a thread connecting chaos across state lines. Together, they delved deeper into the records. Past incidents of stalking related to the specific individual revealed a disturbing pattern. Victims reporting similar encounters, each tied to unfulfilled promises and dark obsession. The gravity of it settled in. This was no ordinary case of tragedy, but a chilling transmission of fear reaching into lives unconnected by time and distance. With her renewed determination galvanized by Mark's information, Thompson steeled herself. They would not let fear trap them in silence. Lisa's vibrant spirit would become the beacon leading them into the dark heart of the investigation, propelling them towards a confrontation with the truth. The suspect, with the truth gaining clarity, Sheriff Thompson and Detective Jenkins wasted no time. They organized an urgent meeting, recalling their past experience with stalking cases to strategize their next steps. The suspect, a man named Ethan Mallory, had previously been reported for terrifying behavior in Sunnyvale, harassing several women, and even attempting to confront them in public spaces. Yet the legal system had been unkind, allowing him to slip through the cracks, a fact that now gnawed at Thompson. As autumn progressed, the sharp chill in the air intensified with the weight of looming dread. They tracked him down, thoroughly researching his background, revealing a deeply troubled childhood marked by instability and isolation. As they pulled at the threads of Mallory's life, Disturbing patterns emerged as obsession with certain women mirrored the twisted path sown by his need for connection. After gathering enough evidence, Thompson and Jenkins approached Mallory's last known address, a small, dilapidated apartment complex on the outskirts of Sunshine, just outside of town. The building loomed ahead, its cracked facade casting long shadows over the cracked pavement. Despite the late hour, a dim light flickered through the thin curtains of one window, a haunting reminder that they were close. With apprehension gripping her core, Thompson steeled herself as they knocked on the door. A moment later, a frail figure appeared, eyes shrouded in shadows, the reality of the situation sinking in. Mallory's confusion morphed into agitation as he was confronted by the law. "Do you mind if we ask you some questions, Ethan?" Thompson inquired, her gaze locking onto his with unwavering. The man's demeanor shifted. A flicker of something panic or recognition passed across his face. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place, as if they were both stepping into a web of tension that was waiting to ensnare them. The trial. As the echoes of the past collided with the present, Maplewood reverberated with tension as Ethan Mallory's trial commenced. The courthouse stood stoically at the heart of the town, its austere facade contrasting sharply with the warmth of the community it served. Inside, an air of dread clung to the thick walls, saturating the atmosphere with an unyielding sense of inevitability. Sheriff Thompson sat in the front row, her gaze fixed intently on the proceedings. Years of work coalesced into this moment, the culmination of sleepless nights, painstaking investigations, and whispers of dread surrounding the death of Lisa Harrington. The courtroom was packed with friends, family, and curious townsfolk, all seeking justice for the woman they had lost. Ethan's demeanor shifted sharply. The once confident facade crumbled as the gravity of the charges became clear. Throughout the testimony's voices reciting stories of trauma, heartache, and for Thompson felt the crushing weight of their collective pain. Each witness painted a vivid picture of Lisa's last days, passing unspoken questions that floated through the room like a final breath. The defense painted a bleak portrait, attempting to place doubt in the jury's mind. They argued Ethan's unstable upbringing had twisted his perception of reality, attempting to elicit sympathy rather than the stark truth of his actions. But amidst the stormy details of a broken psyche appearing in court, Thompson saw the piercing resolve of those who loved Lisa, and it fueled her conviction. As the verdict came into focus, the room felt deathly silent. Moments stretched like an eternity, hearts beating in unison as the jury filed back in. When the foreman's voice rang out with a guilty verdict, relief surged through Thompson. Mallory's face twisted into an expression of disbelief, the judgment echoing like a prison door slamming shut against a long-hidden truth. Though justice was far from complete, the decision represented a hard-won victorion that would ripple through Maplewood, reminding the town that the shadows could be driven back and light would find its way once more. The aftermath. In the months following the trial, Maplewood struggled to reclaim a sense of normalcy. The echoes of Lisa Harrington's death and the subsequent trial had left their indelible mark on the community-consuming grief lingering in the air like the fading scent of autumn. The leaves had turned from vibrant oranges to dull browns, and with them, the vibrancy of life felt equally subdued. Sheriff Thompson visited Maplewood Park often, taking refuge beneath the ancient oak trees that had grown tall and enduring over the years. The laughter of children once filled this space, but now the silence felt profound, punctuated only by the distant call of a crow or the rustle of leaves. Sometimes she'd see her fellow townsfolk walking the paths, their eyes searching for solace in a world that felt just a bit darker. Memorial gatherings took shape, bringing people together in their shared grief for Liza Testament, to a woman whose light had been extinguished far too soon. Candles flickered in the twilight, illuminating the faces of those who mourned and the unbreakable bond forming among them. In these moments, Thompson felt the shared warmth of a community knitting together. Yet, a haunting emptiness lingered in her heart, a stark reminder that healing is often a bumpy road through shadowy terrain. On a particularly cold evening, Thompson received a message from Rebecca. It was simple and brave. "Let's honor Lisa." A scholarship in her name. The idea ignited a renewed sense of purpose within her, driving Thompson to advocate for something that would carry Lisa's legacy forward, a beacon of hope in the darkness left behind. As the weeks turned to months, the initiative gained momentum, with the community rallying behind the cause. Each contribution, each shared story of Lisa, was another stitch in the fabric of remembrance, slowly weaving the community into a tapestry of resilience. And though echoes of pain remained, the emergence of hope helped to transform loss into something more real, an enduring commitment to cherish each other and stand vigilant against the unknown lurking in the shadows. Reflection. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across Maplewood, Sheriff Thompson sat on her porch, a cup of tea warming her hands. The soft sounds of the evening, a distant dog barking, leaves rustling. In the gentle wind filled the silence left behind by Lisa Harrington's tragedy. Threads of memory wove through her mind. The laughter, the voices, the cries for justice that had echoed through the courtroom. In the aftermath of everything, she found herself reflecting on the journey, the pain of loss intertwined with growth, compelling the community forward in ways they once hadn't thought possible. Each day had demanded resilience, and each gathering of remembrance visibly joined them together. But amid this reflection, a hollow ache remained. Lisa's absence was a weight they would carry forever, an unresolved question of, what if? Yet, in Thompson's heart, a commitment took root. The law wasn't just about enforcing justice. It was about protecting the living. Her role had evolved, shifting from a mundane role of authority to a guardian of memories and advocate for those silenced before their story could be told. As twilight faded, leaving tendrils of night creeping in, she felt the rejuvenating clarity of purpose. The light of Lisa's spirit, flickering still through a community transformed, reminded her that in life, even the darkest moments could lead to newfound hope. There was strength to be found in every shadow cast now, every story retold, each illuminating the path forward.